everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Equation Stories about Women in STEM. This podcast where we shine light upon incredible women in STEM and explore their journeys, challenges, and triumphs. I'm Ashika Bansal, a high school student with a passion for all things related to science, technology, engineering, and maths. And today I'm joined by Dr. Sheetal, a PhD professor at NIT Nagpur. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I'm I'm beyond grateful to have you as a speaker today in my podcast. Could we start by a small introduction of yourself for our audience and how you started your journey in STEM?
Sure. So, hello all. Myself, Dr. Sheetal Chiddarwar. I'm a mechanical engineering graduate with PhD in robotics, and currently I'm a professor of mechanical engineering at Vishwesvaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. So, my journey into STEM began long back when I was in primary school, where I studied in Marathi medium, and there was a subject called as Prayogatun Vignan, which means science through experiments. So I like that course because it was about learning concepts of science from the experiments. So there was no theory; it was all doing by yourself and understanding the concepts. So there I realized we can learn science from nature, from natural phenomena and the flora and fauna. Then I chose the mechanical engineering despite all odds for women in engineering that time in 1994 because I thought it is the most relevant branch for any kind of technology. The turning point of my STEM life was my decision to do PhD from IIT Madras in robotics. And it opened the entire universe of knowledge for me because there I realized technology means it should be all about interdisciplinary studies.
Great. What inspired you to pursue your career? Was it like apart from your course, obviously when you were learning in primary school, was there something else you found like especially interested in whilst you were like looking around your surroundings, maybe?
I was always interested in history, then Indian culture, Indian spiritual scriptures. And there were so many phenomena, so many aspects explained in those stories. And I used to think how it is possible, why it is possible. So, this how and why, these two answers can be known only when further go into STEM. And that's how I got more inspired from the my learnings. And second thing is, I was never a very bright or very A plus plus kind of student. I was just a learner, and still I'm a learner. I love to read so many books. So I studied history books, I studied scriptures, I studied science fiction, and this everything was unknowingly building liking for STEM in my mind.
Nice. I think there's this like a lot of like area around like people thinking that you need to be like the top student or you need to have like the best grades in order to go into engineering or STEM fields when necessary. It's not necessary. It's just this idea of learning. I think
Yeah.
that should be our key focus, like how we can explore our like expand our knowledge, especially not just like, oh, we're not good enough. I think in even in this age, like in my school, I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm not a number one student, so I don't think this is for me, or like the subject area is for
Yeah.
me. When in fact, I think it should be, oh, I'm so interested in knowing about this. I don't care. Like, I will improve on myself or work on myself to learn more about it. Like, grades don't define you. And I think that's very nicely said. Like, no matter what kind of grades you get, it doesn't define what you want to do in the future.
Exactly, exactly. And I'll tell you one story. Just it reminds me of one of my
Yes.
students. Uh, his name is Rohan Thakkar. He's a robotist at JPL NASA. So his journey was very interesting. Like Rohan was always interested in learning, in understanding, and doing things by hand. He never bothered whether he's getting good grades or not. He used to manage to get the good grades, but his focus was always on learning, and
Yes.
that was really fascinating about him, and because of that only today he is at JPL, right? So it's an incredible achievement for an engineering graduate who is from NIT and not from
Certainly.
IIT or ISC or any foreign university.
Certainly. Yes. So it's all about the dreams and the hopes. It's about where your passions take you.
Yeah, right, right.
Okay. Moving on. As a woman in a male-dominated field, What were some key challenges that you faced, and could you tell us how you overcome them?
Yes, that I'm facing now also, but I'll just share some stories.
Certainly.
When I went to my department of mechanical engineering on very first day, I got to know that there is no separate washroom for ladies. And I was shocked. And then I asked, so the answer was there are hardly any girl students taking admission to this particular branch. So we never felt there is a need for a separate washroom. And then later on, they realized case. Then later on, slowly admission into mechanical engineering, and now there is no discrimination. But that was the very first thing which I found in my department. Uh, yeah, it's a male dominated field, and second thing is the way we have been told that, especially in India, this engineering, it should be IT or software if she's a girl, right? Electrical
Hmm.
and mechanical is not for girls. Something like this was there when I took admission. I
Yes.
was admission in 1994. It's not about 2024. It is long back, right? So that time, that taboo was there. Ki, why are you sending your daughter to mechanical engineering? So that was another hurdle I faced. I had to convince so many people in my family as well for that. But when I progressed in my career, I got good support from my male colleagues. So that issue never came
That's
to
really
me
nice.
during my engineering as well as during PhD. But when we work for a certain institute, we are no more students, right? And then
Yes.
you become a kind of a competition for people. So then that competition will create a problem. So as per my understanding, it's not about the gender, it's about the competition. It's about the
Competition.
competitive environment we work in India. So and that is creating more hurdle as compared to my gender. That's what I feel.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, and
I
it's
think
like they don't. Yeah,
please
yeah, yeah.
continue.
Tell me.
Oh, I was saying, I think competition does inspire innovation as well. So that's a good thing, considering if you're not
Yeah,
like not thinking that the gender disbalance is a problem. That's something new and that's something really great, I would say, considering there's again this taboo that females can't really go up in these certain fields and like maybe it because since it is a male dominated field, mechanical engineering, there are
yeah.
obviously less females and like I wouldn't have expected that you felt that competition is actually the biggest challenge, not the the disparities between the genders.
Yeah. And yes, and many times I'm being a human being, I'll feel bad, like why such kind of treatment is given, or why this kind
Hmm.
of jealousy is there. But then I follow spirituality, and that helps me enormously. I have spiritual guru. I follow his teachings. My mom. Then you must be aware of Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev.
Yes.
Uh, I listen to his podcast whenever I feel down. Then he will bring everything crystal clear. He's never biased about any of the thoughts or any of the thinking processes. He's very impartial in his thoughts. So that clears the mind like anything. Then
Yeah.
when we have to understand people, that time that the podcast by Sister Shivani will help me. Like she realizes how to she tells us how to understand people, how to understand their behavior, why someone behaves like this. So it's not about us, it is about only them. There is something going in their mind, some kind of learning is there, some kind of background is there, because of that they behave in this fashion. So this helps to sort out the equations very quickly whenever such issues are coming in the life.
Yeah. So I think that's a great idea. Like thinking about yourself, I think prioritizing that you are not the problem, obviously in this case, and thinking about like the other person's also going through something. So it's not about who you are or your gender. It's just human nature, I think, human tendency.
Right, right.
Yes. Okay. Moving on, I would like to talk about your work. So your work
Yeah.
on imitation learning and motion planning for the industrial robotics is groundbreaking. Could you please explain how this research contributes to real-world applications in industries right now?
Okay. So we all are aware that industrial robots are commonly used and majorly for monotonous and hazardous tasks. Many tasks are
Yes.
done by robot very easily, but we need to program them. Whereas there are certain tasks which are not easy for the robot also. And that's why still we need to rely on human beings, and that imposes many kind of health hazards to the human beings. So,
Hmm.
while thinking about such applications, especially spray painting, so these paints are carcinogenic, and if human being is doing it, it directly affects the lungs of the human being.
Yes.
So, what we thought that a human being has a typical skill of painting. Why can't we transfer the skill to the robot? So, with that understanding in mind, that imitation learning came into picture. Like
Um,
whatever skill human being is having, that skill will be presented to the robot, and now robot will convert it into a program and follow that skill.
great.
So it is just like human being, right? We learn many things by observation. So
Yes.
imitation learning is just like human way of learning. And then
Hmm.
it's not straightforward. Like we also take time in learning, and everybody has a different way of learning. Same way, we had to develop some AI algorithms through which we could translate the human skill to the robots. And now, if you see the humanoids which are coming into market or which are into research, they are training these humanoids using this imitation learning.
Yes.
So recently, there were so many news that they are employing people having skills just to demonstrate their skills in front of camera, and those skills will be captured and then translated into robot motions. So it is being used now as imitation learning or learning from demonstration.
Yes. That I think that's a very good progressive movement in the world today, especially because it's also helping so many human beings. But since the innovation of AI, what developments in robotics and AI are you more excited about, like through these new and evolving learning?
Yes. So currently, Indian startups are coming with some good ideas about collaborative robots. The concept
Hmm.
here is that robots should not work in isolation. Robots should be an helper for the human being. Means it should
Yes.
work in a collaboration of human being. The major concern for human being when working with robot is robot does not rely on sensors. It has a fixed program path. It has to follow that path. Whereas collaborative robots, what they do, as soon as a human being touches to the robot, it will stop. So
Okay.
it is like two people sharing same workplace, right? They're sharing the responsibilities and completing the task. So where imagination, intelligence, and cognitive skills are required, human being will come into picture. Whereas when there is a
Yes.
repetitive task or a laborious task, the robot will come into picture. So this is bringing some kind of cohesion between robots and human beings. So I like this area very much, and we are working in this particular domain. Then
Hmm.
second thing is integration of artificial intelligence in robot hardware. Now, whatever deep learning or reinforcement learning we see, everything is on computer. So it works on certain data, it gives some decisions or it does some predictions. But I'm
Yes.
more interested in seeing the hardware getting control using AI techniques. So
Hmm.
like, then there is a fun. Like you are using intelligence to control the way human being uses intelligence to control itself and do so
Yes.
many tasks. Right? The same way, robot should also use intelligence to do the task. It's not
Control.
only
Yes.
NLP. Like you might have seen many humanoids. They are like chatbots. You ask a question, they'll reply you. It's natural
Yes.
language processing. They understand your language and reply to you by referring to certain databases. It is like it is
Yes.
taking control by understanding, by memorizing, by figuring out the patterns present in the information which is coming from sensors. So that is something
Yes.
very, very interesting in robotics. And then drones. So Indians are doing very good in drones. What kind of startups and work is being done. So we are really fascinated by drones, and we are
Hmm.
into using these drones for very critical applications like fire hazards, then supply of
Hmm.
medicines to remote locations, especially during monsoon time, and
Yes.
then providing the assistance to people who are stuck in certain flood or certain landslide. Such kind of applications we are developing.
Great. So you answered my another question. I was gonna ask you how AI and robotics has influenced India right now and the emerging technologies impacting our economy. And I think a lot of companies are also shifting towards using robotics or AI. My next question would be, since AI has taken over the world now, do you think your job or like being a mechanical engineering, your job is at like hazard of being taken over, like replaced by AI?
No, I never think so. See, I told you, every engineering branch is very important when you think from technology perspective or growth of technology, right?
Yes.
So, from mechanical engineering perspective, if I tell AI is helping us, there are
Hmm.
the mechanical engineering consists of you might be knowing thermal engineering, production engineering, and design engineering. Each field
Okay.
is a complete engineering branch in itself. So only
Yes.
mechanical engineering is called as a mother branch of engineering. So
Yes.
there are so many things which can be easily automated with the help of AI. Whereas
Yeah.
at the same time, to automate it, you require a domain knowledge. So someone
Okay.
who is
Yes, that is
having
true.
mechanical engineering knowledge plus AI will always have an upper edge over others.
Okay. So that's a good
Yes,
thing to anyone who's
exactly.
inspired to go in this field. You do have a future in it, and obviously this should inspire more people to go into jobs since a lot of other jobs are now have been like, oh, AI can take over them. But I also think science and engineering is two fields that AI has like you can work with it, but you can't replace the people who are already in it or going in it.
Exactly. Because we work with AI, na, so we know how much inputs it requires. And it requires
Yeah.
inputs from a domain knowledge. It doesn't require knowledge of programming. It needs to
Yes.
understand what is the equation of motion rather than how to code that equation of motion.
Emotion. Yeah. And then
Right?
that's where you need us. Yeah, humans.
Exactly. There we need engineers, there we need people who have domain knowledge.
Yes. My next question is, you've been associated with projects on converting conventional vehicles into hybrid electric vehicles. What excites you the most about sustainable mobility, and how do you see this field evolving in the future?
Okay. So here, mobile robotics is my favorite. My two students, Veer and Soumya, have done PhD in that, and they worked on control of mobile robots. And there itself, when AI was not that much prevalent, we worked with control algorithms, which will make these mobile robots autonomous.
Okay.
And autonomy means the robot is going from place A to place B, and whatever
With
actions
just
are
code.
taken, yeah, actions are to be taken that will be taken by a robot with the help of sense information coming from the sensors, with the help of program we have written, and whatever kind of decision making rules you have given to the robot. So we wanted to go one step ahead. So my students, Richa, Vaishnavi, Tanvi, and Rahul, these four guys, they were fascinated by idea of controlling a mobile robot using artificial intelligence, right? So we use reinforcement learning, and that how our journey towards converting a conventional vehicle into hybrid electric vehicle or hybrid intelligent vehicle started. So this was a first step, right? And
Hmm.
the major goal is to generate a complete framework where this power will be shifted to totally electric power, right? This dependency of hybrid will go, or even using the hydrogen fuel cell, because electric battery is a major challenge in
Yes.
all electric vehicles, and it doesn't have very huge carbon footprint. We think that it doesn't have, it is nature safe and all that, but if you fathom it out, it has a huge carbon footprint. So
That is true. Yes.
the best solution is going for hydrogen based energy resources, and one of them is hydrogen fuel cell. So we want to generate some kind of system where we can develop India's own hydrogen fuel cell based power, and that can be used in vehicles. And this kind of electric vehicles or autonomous vehicles, they require a huge amount of investment as well as a huge group to work together,
Yes.
right? The best part is in India, there are certain startups which are playing very vital role in going for low cost autonomous vehicles, which are
Hmm.
suitable for Indian traffic conditions. So
Yeah.
if you, and that I liked very much, because we only know what situations are there on the roads, right? And everything is not ideal for us. So we Indians can contribute better as compared to others.
So you like the idea of implementing your real life knowledge into your work. That's
Correct.
that's amazing. And I think that's how all jobs should be and how interested we all should be in our work and our life, like ongoing daily life. My next question is also, what steps do you think academia and industries can take to encourage more women to enter and thrive in these STEM fields? Like I've heard from you, a lot of your students are also females. So obviously they must be inspired by you and how much of an impact you've made in this. How can we, as students my age or like high school students, to go in these fields and understand more about them?
Okay. So, first thing is, see, there are many schemes and many propositions from academia, from government, as well as from industry to accelerate this STEM for women. What I feel the reach of these all schemes is not that much good. It's not reaching to all the people in India. That
Mm,
reach should be increased. We have everything. We have all social media. We have advertisements. We have people who can tell. But the benefits of these schemes should reach to the a girl who is sitting in small village and wish to pursue her career in STEM. So that propagation should happen. And second
certainly.
important aspect is, yeah, learning is one thing. Graduating, post graduating, doing PhD is okay. But later, if you want to pursue career, then rather than just thinking from 10 to 5 job or a very easy job or job where there is more money and less time to be given, they should focus more on what interests that woman, right?
Yes.
I hope you're getting. So it should be interest based rather than the how much earning is there or how
This
much time
idea
that.
of, yes.
And for that purpose, we require a very strong support from our family system. Those age-old thoughts have not changed yet. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I faced same thing in 1994 while taking admission, and today also in 2024 when my student wants to take mechanical, she has to face same thing. So this thought process should change, and there is a need of complete overhauling of this thought process.
That is completely true. This is a little more personal question, but how do you balance the demands of your research or like your a professional life with your personal life? As I think female in STEM, that's one of like the biggest like problems or like this idea that, oh, I won't be able to have a family or like focus on myself if I go into these fields.
Ha. That because there is a burden. STEM is a burden. STEM is never a burden. It's a fun, right? And STEM is there everywhere in our life. If we think from that perspective, then STEM will not become a kind of a challenge. It will become a facilitator. And then when I try to see everything from STEM's perspective, then balancing life is
Easy.
is possible. It's very much possible. Things get burdened only when we think it as a burden. So Sadhguru always says there is nothing called as work and life balance. There is a work, there is a life. You have to follow both.
Yes.
That I also follow. I have to do both things, right? So there is nothing called as a balance. We have to do it. It's by our choice. So we have to do it.
Yes. Is there anything, activities or like hobbies that you have outside of STEM that you like and like to develop on?
Yes. So apart from building robots and reading technical books, I love reading other books. And I'm grown with it's like from childhood I'm reading so many books. I don't even remember how many books I read by now. And I have a habit of journaling. So
Nice.
that clears my mind like anything. So whenever we are stuck in some situation, something is not working for us, that time I first prefer is switch off everything, all my laptop, desktop, everything, and just take a pen and a paper and keep on writing. Till I find yes, my mind is clear. Then I start working. So this helps. Journaling helps. Then uh, I like to read fiction as well as write fiction. I write fiction by myself,
That's so
and that
cool.
is a very good, you can say, relaxing activity for me.
That's great. So that also proves another thing that work is not always your life. You do have other things apart from just your work, and you can, being female in STEM, manage everything you want at once. One other question I have is reflecting on your journey, which is so amazing and fascinating so far from what I've heard and what everyone else is hearing. What has been the most rewarding aspect of your career, and what do you think is your next steps in STEM or this field of engineering?
So the most rewarding part is always my students when they do great in their field of interest. I feel satisfied. Like that is the satisfaction of my life. Right. Uh, the two three things happened in our institute because of my student. So one of them is like we established this IB Labs Innovation Lab in VNIT. This lab is very unique. There is no binding on a branch or a gender or anything like your CGP and all those things never matter. If you are interested in robotics, AI, NLP, come to us. We'll sit together, we'll work on some real life problems, we'll train you, we'll handhold you, we'll guide you, we'll make you to learn, we'll make you to uh, develop a systematic approach on how to solve real life problems using technology or STEM. So that is the most happening place in my lab, in my institute actually, because the senior students become guide for junior students, and then when they graduate, they become alum, and this alum network is so strong that they support these kids in all possible ways in terms of hardware, in terms of knowledge. If someone wants to go for internship, they will help them. If someone wants job, they'll help them in recommending. So it's a nice well-knit family where everything is taken care by students only.
Yes.
Then second thing is we have set up a huge center of excellence in our institute with the help of my institute, my director, our deans, and all other system in place. This center is having a focus on industry 4.0 and digitalization. So whatever skills are required to work in any industry from this particular domain, we are teaching to the students. So we are not only training to VNIT students, but we are training to students in and around Nagpur. So
That's
there are around,
amazing.
yeah, and around 5,000 students are trained by now. And it's actually a training, right? We do not teach any theory. We just give them
Yes.
fundamentals,
Hands-on
and then everything
experience.
is hands-on. Yeah, do it, do it. You learn by
That's
doing.
how best way to learn.
Yes. And then these guys also find it very interesting because not every college will be having this state of the art facilities. We have it,
That is
and
true.
UNIT has a vision that we should share the resources, whatever knowledge base we have with the people around us who do not have that. So we are
Yes.
doing it, and that is something which I feel very fascinating from my perspective. Like the smile on a kid who is coming from the remote place in Konkan. Like, the Western Maharashtra, there
And
is a
then
Konkan region.
you learn, yes, so much from
And
just this
you see
knowledge.
such big machine I've seen in first time in my life. That happiness on the face that encourages me.
That's really
So this
nice to
thing,
hear.
yes, that has changed. That has changed the thinking of this girl. And that girl was like, "Madam, I haven't seen a state transport bus in my life, and I'm seeing such a big
Now she
machine here."
is making dreams come true.
Correct.
Um,
So that inspires a lot, and that's how we feel satisfied. Okay, apart from there is nothing called as a satisfaction.
that is true. Obviously being mindful of your time and how precious it is. And I've learned so much from this conversation. And like you said, these hopes, like that little thing, little story of that girl made you smile and that gives you inspiration. I think all you've said today has inspired me even more to focus on my goal of pursuing a career in STEM and hopefully has also helped others. Um, if you have if you have a short message to girls listening to this podcast, please could you give us some words of inspiration?
Yeah. So, someone who wants to pursue STEM, then take STEM as a day-to-day learning rather than a learning from a book or from a lecture, right? Try to understand STEM from nature. Nature is the best teacher. The way it teaches is awesome. Those
Yes.
learnings are with you lifelong. And third important thing, try to see how it can be used for the benefit of others.
Hmm.
So when you think about others, you don't need to think about your benefit. That
Yes.
automatically comes because nature blesses you in that particular way. So these three things will always help you in life, and then STEM will be never a burden. It will be fun. It will be an enjoyment for you.
Great. Again, thank you, Dr. Sheetal, for joining me today in this podcast. I'm so grateful I have you as my speaker today for this week's interview. And I think you have inspired a lot of people, everyone who's listening to this, to pursue a career in STEM. And thank you so much for your time.